ELECTRA is very passionate about this, but yeah, Billy Corgan was on the Joe. We're going back to Joe Rogan. He was on the Joe Rogan Experience this week. Where were you on, Casey, when we talked about the Howie Mandel thing, or was that Craig?
Yes, no,
you were on.
Yes, yep.
It was very
Does Billy
weird.
Corgan look like Bill Burr, or is it just me?
What's happening today?
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna mute now.
As a matter of fact, Electra, he does look like Bill Burr. It's weird that you would say that. And that happens to be what we're talking about today. Gang, you may remember a few weeks ago when we discussed Bill Burr and Billy Corgan together on the Howie Mandel show. Howie Mandel does stuff. So it's crazy. As a matter of fact, those two are linked together. A lot of people think they look alike. It's a very interesting observation. And as a matter of fact, that's what Billy Corgan is addressing here. We like to segue into that very naturally by just blurting it out. Does he look like him? Yes.
I'm muted.
He does. It doesn't sound like it. I can still hear you. So Billy Corgan was on the Joe Rogan Experience addressing exactly that. It was very weird. And I remember saying it was a very weird bit to do because there was no payoff. I think we actually have an answer to that here. Billy Corgan seemed very confused by it, which I think is the answer now. The payoff for the bit is this, that there is no answer. And Billy Corgan explains that to Joe Rogan here.
This is what's crazy. Okay. You want the whole setup story?
Sure.
I could be quick about it.
Sure.
So where I tape my podcast is in one of Howie Mandel's buildings, and he has another building in this area. So I was working on something, and I was supposed to go on Howie's show that day. And they said, Howie will meet you out in the street or something for whatever reason. So I go out in the street, and the first thing Howie says to me when he sees me, he goes, "Here comes Bill Burr." And I go, "You too? Like, do you know this story?" And he said, "No, I don't know about it." And I said, "You know what? Heck with it. I'm just going to tell it on your show, so don't ask me anymore." And I went on the show, and I told this story about how 10 years ago my stepmother came to me and said, "Do you know who Bill Burr is?" I never heard of Bill, didn't know who he was, because I don't really consume much, popular culture. I had no idea he was a famous comedian. He could have been the lawnmower guy. Looked up Bill. First thing I saw was like, oh my God, he looks just like Daddy. When I was 18 years old at an IHOP on my 18th birthday, my father told me, "You have a half-brother that I sired at the same time as you whose name is Bill." So suddenly these facts come together. My mother telling me these stories. I talked to my dad subsequently about it, and he was very cagey about it. And when I said, "Why won't you tell me where this person is or who this person is?" he said, "I'm trying to protect you." So when my stepmother had told me, it kind of made sense. Like, well, if my half-brother is the super famous comedian, my dad, in a way, wouldn't want me to know because he wouldn't want me to feel like I was number two because Bill's so famous. I know it sounds crazy,
What
right?
bizarre. When was this conversation happening? Because Bill Burr surpassing Billy Corgan in fame probably only happened 10 years ago, 15 years ago, maybe?
I don't even know that he has surpassed Billy Corgan in fame.
Well, that's another debate I suppose we could have. But my point is, my point is, we may. My point is, for Billy Corgan to be having this conversation and be protected by his father, you'd think he'd be very young. You don't think he'd be a 46-year-old man. And the dad going, "Well, son, I don't know that I'm ready to admit that to you." It's very weird that a middle-aged man is having that conversation.
That's why he was trying to protect you?
Well, I don't know. So fast forward to Howie saying something on the street. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to say something. And I swear to God, hand on my heart, last time I was with you in California, I almost pulled you aside after we were on, and I was going to tell you the story because I knew you knew Bill, and I was going to back channel see if there was anything to the story from Bill's side.
Wow.
So imagine 6 or 7 years since we talked on your show.
Yeah, I don't even know.
2018, somebody said to me today. But so anyway, started talking over. But the point is so here I am, fast forward. I'm just sick of seeing memes of my face with Bill's. And so I just decide on a spur of the moment, So Howie, of course, loves it. But I said on Howie's show that first time, I don't think Bill's my half-brother. I don't think there's anything there other than an uncanny resemblance. Fast forward, the thing comes out, it gets a little bit of social media, and then it goes away. And I think, good. And Bill didn't say anything, so I figured Bill was kind of like, whatever. It was a mild amusement. You know, he could have made a joke out of the whole thing, and he didn't. So then Howie calls me, and I'm in L.A. working recently, and Howie's like, "We come on the show, Bill's going to be on." And I said, "Is Bill cool with it?" "Oh, yeah, no problem." So then I go there, and it's like, it turns into this thing that you see happening on camera. It's like, it's weirdness times, it's like a skit, but it's real. And Bill's on me, then Bill's on Howie, and it gets just, okay. So I just told you basically everything I know, okay? I have people I've known for 20, 30 years coming up to me going, "What do you think?" And I said, I don't think we're related. I mean, yeah, there's a resemblance, but I don't think we're related. "Well, did you get a DNA test?" And I'm like, "No, I don't. There's nothing to get a DNA test for." "Well, I think he's your brother." So people that know me, and I'm telling him I don't think he's my brother, now they want a DNA test to prove it. That's how much it's taken on a life of its own.
Do you think it's just because they want a DNA test because it's fun if he's your brother?
No. They're convinced.
For real, for real?
Yes.
Really?
For real. I swear to God. I mean, people I'm close to, people that were at my wedding, I'm like, they're like, "No, you need a DNA test."
Did Bill's dad know, well, did your dad know Bill's mom?
No, my father wouldn't talk to me about it at all.
So it's I guess the reason there was no payoff is because Howie Mandel thought, "Let me bring Billy Corgan in and make it weird for Bill." And in a brilliant move, I apologize to Bill Burr. I didn't understand the point of Bill going along with that bit, but Burr didn't know about it, and they expected him to be like, "What the fuck is this?" Instead, Burr went along with it and made it awkward for them. So they had to keep playing into it, which is actually brilliant. So now I understand the payoff of Bill being like, "What the fuck? I thought we weren't going to talk about this. What the fuck are you doing?" Because I remember watching it being like, why would Bill Burr go along with this stupid thing? But they were trying to like prank him, and he turned it into a prank on them. It's brilliant. Kudos to Bill Burr. That was amazing.
Sometimes you play the long game, Mike.
Which I guess he did, because now Billy Corgan is so puzzled, and he doesn't know who his family is. He's literally on Joe Rogan, like, I don't even know who my dad is anymore. I don't know what to make of any of this.
He asked Joe Rogan for a swab. He's like, "Are we related?"
Joe's like, I'll pay for the DNA test, and he's like, "I don't even know if I can handle it, man." Like, I don't know.
Oh no,
I don't know what's real anymore.
Mm-hmm. This next one's called "Not a Skit."
Yeah, so it wasn't a bit, I guess. It wasn't a thing they were doing, at least not unless Howie Mandel talked to Burr beforehand. But that's why it was so well done, because no one was in on the fact that the other person was in on it, I guess.
In that same thing with my stepmother, she told me that she thought my father had sired 12 children.
Whoa.
All over the place. All over the place. He was a traveling musician and a whore to his own admittance.
A Crow Marty.
So it kind of makes sense. He once told me he'd slept with 1,000 women. So
Jesus.
12 out of 1,000, you know what I mean? It's
normal odds.
The math is
actually pretty good.
Yeah. And so when I went to my father and I told him what my stepmother had said, he got really cagey and wouldn't tell me anything. He promised me that he would write down the names of the illegitimate children on a piece of paper so I could find them after he died.
Oh my
and
God.
he's died and there's no paper.
Oh my God.
So now I got people wanting DNA tests because they're convinced that Bill is my half-brother.
Is Bill willing to do a DNA test?
I think that's ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
no, you have to do it.
No, that's what I'm saying. I mean, first of all, to Bill's credit, he's been everything you saw on camera was his general irritation on the thing, but he also kind of finds it funny because he's a comedian.
I thought it was a skit. I thought you guys put together a skit. I really did. I thought you got, because I thought,
I think that's what everyone thought, except for the people that thought it was real. Like, there were some people sending me that, like, "Hey, this is pretty crazy, huh?" I think anyone else that knows, like, kind of what Howie Mandel does, what Bill Burr does, I think they thought it was like a not rehearsed thing, but a thing that everyone agreed upon. And Howie and Burr agreed to it, apparently, but it has left Billy Corgan a shell of a man. He's like, "No, please don't bother Bill with this anymore. He seems very angry. I don't want to upset him."
I thought you guys were just fucking around. You like pro wrestling. I thought you guys just decided to troll the world.
Let me put it to you this way. Have you ever seen it? And well, I'm assuming, but you tell me if I'm wrong. Two guys get in the ring to roll around a bit, right?
Okay.
They're bros. They're going to roll around a bit.
Uh-huh.
Emotions kick in, and next thing you know, somebody's tapping somebody out.
Right.
Do you ever
Yeah.
see that happen?
For sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in the heat of that moment with Bill and Howie egging it on, you know, like the emotionality of the thing came out because it's a sort of it's sort of a weird thing. We're suddenly in the middle of a situation. It's like a meta situation. you know?
Right.
So yes, on some level we were playing along, but then it starts to become like, wait, this is kind of weird, and then it starts to kick in, and then Billy Bush is in there, and it took on a life of its own.
Fucking Billy
So
Bush.
it really was like Burr just fucking with him, and I guess Billy Corgan at some point during that episode was like, I don't want to play anymore. He seems mad. So now, like, I think this is the payoff where I was watching it like, why is Bill Burr going along with this? But I guess his going along with it was making everyone in that room uncomfortable, which now is brilliant in hindsight. So applause to Bill Burr for that, because I didn't get it. Now I do. And I like that Billy Corgan has been left just wandering the streets, wondering who his family is.
Go to blindmike.net for everything Blind Mike. Look at me. I did it. Kragers did it.